Greetings and good morning. This is Deanna with Empower Me to Win, and today is Soul Search Inspiration. Okay, I'm going to be talking about a little bit sharing, actually, that's about soul searching, sharing postpartum depression and motherhood. And this might be part one of many. So, good morning. How are we all doing? I'm actually inspired this morning to share and empower, hopefully through this little sharing here, on how I currently am a new mother, but I do have a grade school child with me. But I do have a new born baby infant that will be 4 months old. And my postpartum has been surprisingly, um, actually, not surprisingly, it's kind of been like kind of a roller coaster of emotions. If any of you have ever dealt with postpartum depression or didn't know about it, it is a real thing. It's not make believe. It's not something to stamp you out as crazy. It's not a weakness. It's not something that should make you feel like you're so fragile. It's something to definitely um, accept and speak more kindly to yourself and love on yourself. So, like many days, when you have an infant, a newborn, you can guarantee sleepless nights. Maybe not all of us, but I have had sleepless nights. Um, and I don't even sleep well anyway. Me, a good sleep is 5 hours. So if I'm waking up every 2 hours, probably three times a night. And depending on your child's sleep pattern and what they need during the night and etc., how they sleep, I'm actually breastfeeding and supplementing formula because my milk depleted 2 months within 2 months, and there could be a lot of factors to that. I am going to go and to a doctor and get checked up to make sure, because it really just stopped abruptly. It was going great, and I breastfed my first child for a year, hallelujah. And it went well. I know it took work in the very beginning, but it went well, and she was breastfed all the way through, and that was my goal for my newborn here. But it just stopped abruptly, and the factors could be stress. I had a surgery for the first time. I wound up going into labor, natural birth, laboring intensely. Obviously, I don't have to share that for anyone who has been through labor, but I'm just sharing it for anyone that don't, intensely for about 10 hours. I had a goal to go through, and then there was a emergency C-section. So mentally, when I came home, that did something to me. And if you don't have a lot of support, and you have to do it by yourself, then that is very draining, painful. It could become discouraging and disappointing. And it was for me because I wanted to have a natural birth and to have that surgery and the healing process, the pain, the medication, having to breastfeed, having to get up and still take care of another child by yourself. That is, gosh, just, it hurts. It does. It hurts. It makes you sink a little bit. It made me sink a bit more into my depression, but I felt like I was on autopilot. It made me think I wasn't worthy and I wasn't good enough, and that's why this was going on. Not having a surgery, just the recovery is painful. It's lengthy. Not wanting to do the wrong thing to infect anything, and then not wanting to over clean it. The incision, that's the it. And so my postpartum was up and down because I was on an autopilot. I have, my other child, and the newborn. Still had to take my other child to school, do extracurricular activities, homework, work my businesses, try to fit in self-care. And let me tell you, that is, of course, it's key. Care is key. To speak kindly to yourself, love on yourself, take care of yourself, be healthy, drink water, eat enough foods, the right foods, so key. But I wasn't doing that. I'm just being honest. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't thinking about drinking enough water. I had to literally set an alarm, eating enough foods, speaking kindly to myself. I went from speaking kindly and working on that plateau of going up, and having the positive self-talk to, you're not good enough, what's wrong with you, the reason why no one's here to support you is because you're not of value. That's what I was saying to myself. I was in a space of darkness, but it would go up and down because I still had my businesses. I still had my children to say, okay, they need to see a different side of me. So that postpartum depression, here's one thing about it. Once I found out I was pregnant, I immediately sat down with my OBGYN and said, we need to make a plan because the postpartum depression I experienced when I had my first child, and I did not go and get help. I did not. And when you don't go and get help with postpartum depression, and there were signs, and there obviously were signs and symptoms, and it compounds, and that's what it did for me. It compounded it already with the depression or negative self-talk that I had, so I could go from up to down, and I'm sharing this because we shouldn't be afraid to share those feelings, although there's still a stigma. It's getting better, but share those feelings, and don't worry about the acceptance of others, and if someone's going to call you crazy or bipolar. There are clinical definitions, and we do use these words like crazy, depressed and bipolar in our kind of our slang, like in our colloquialisms. Like, this is what we do. We call people, oh, that's crazy, girl. And I mean, I guess sometimes, okay, it could be accepted, but to throw them at other people and label people is not okay, because we the people are really going through these chemical imbalances and experiencing these clinical titles because of traumas or past experiences, disappointments, negative self-talk, etc. So we just have to know together we can be more gentle and kind to ourselves. But let me go back because I digress. But so my postpartum depression with my daughter was immensely traumatic. I didn't even know. I was doing so much, going to the gym, still working, etc. But I would have moments where I wanted to end my life. I attempted it. And when I would look at my daughter's face, that would be the guiding light to say, what in the world are you doing? Do you want her to walk in the room on you, lying on the floor, not moving, not responding? Do you want that implanted in her brain? Even with the negative self-talk, that stems from my childhood. And so it's key. It's key that whether it be after you have a child or in your life, that we really eradicate and erase, stamp out the stigma of not seeking help, therapy, when it comes to your mental stability and your mental dexterity. Your mental, there's a reason, like, imagine if this head was proportioned somewhere else. This head is proportioned here at the top. Okay? Right? So it should start from the top and then go on down. And that's what it's designed to do. But it seems like from the neck down, we're more concerned how our body weight is, if we have a flat stomach, if we have perky breast, or whatever, if we want to enhance it or reduce the size, if our posture, A lot of times we don't even worry about gut health. We are more comfortable speaking about diabetes, high cholesterol, and kind of shunning that off, like, okay, but that, rather than being more accepting about what's going on here in this brain, the chemical imbalances of this brain here, what has happened here, or really, yeah, what has happened here, what I've seen and thought here, and even what has happened to our bodies that both affects here and here. So we still have this, sometimes this taboo about talking about mental safety. Is your mind safe? You know, depression is real. Depression. I'm going to say it. Seriously, bipolar, manics, anxiety. Be proud to face it head on and say it and call it out for what it is. And let's get the care and the therapy that we need. That's how I'm going to sum this up. Okay? It's okay to get that care. And I just wanted to share that because I had a moment. My son was screaming as if something was going on. And I changed the diaper, formula fed because my breast milk is not in right now. I got to wait a couple hours before it comes in. And I said to myself, Arnett, D, you're not even sufficient enough for your son. You can't even feed him when he wants to be fed. What good are you? He's crying because he doesn't really love you. You can't provide for him. And that's the words I spoke. And so it inspired me to come on here because I am speaking. I am enough for my son. It's okay that I have to supplement. I have to care for myself and love on myself and hydrate myself and encourage myself and eat enough. And then my milk will come in. That's what I should have been saying. I am sufficient for him. I am enough. It's okay, baby boy. Mommy has you. It's okay. This is Soul Search Inspiration Time. I think I'm going to make that on Sundays. But thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this didn't sound like a rant. But remember to stay plugged in and let's power up. This is Deanna with Empower Me to Win. Have a beautiful day.